Hi, my name is James Shepard, and today I want to talk to you about the mistake that big processors are making with cash discounting. The mistake that big processors are making with cash discounting. So, about a year and a half ago, I guess it was now, I started talking about the idea of passing costs onto the consumer. At that time, it seemed like a little niche, and that's never going to be any big thing. But as you all have seen in the industry at this point, unless you're living under a rock, cash discounting is one of the hottest topics in the industry right now. It will probably account for a huge chunk of profits, new profits, I should say, next year in the industry. And so it really is growing and multiplying. And yet there are still a lot of processors, especially the larger acquirers, that really don't want to touch cash discounting at all. They're really steering clear from it. And I just want to talk to you today about why I think that's such a big mistake and the variable that they're just not seeming to grasp or understand. So if you're not doing cash discounting today, you need to make sure that you think through a couple of things. First of all, what a lot of people are saying, I talked to a rep actually the other day that was talking to an ISO that was like all against cash discounting and we're not going to do that, and we think, and the big argument was it's just going to go away. It's just going to go away. It's not going to, it's not going to be a thing. No one's going to, it's not going to be done anymore. In 2 years, it's not going to be happening. So the part that you seem to all be missing about this, if you're not doing cash discounting, is what do you think is going to happen if and when that happens? So number one, I think we can all agree that 24 months from now is probably the soonest I could possibly imagine that some kind of massive change would happen to, just eliminate cash discounting, like the absolute worst case scenario. Now, personally, I think we have a lot longer than that. I think it's probably going to be 5 years by the time all the appeals go up to different court systems and things like that. But let's say that you're right and I'm wrong and cash discounting is over in 24 months, okay? Worst case scenario. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that all those merchants are going to stop accepting credit cards? No. They're all going to keep accepting credit cards. Of course they are, right? They're going to keep processing. Who are they going to process with? Are they going to immediately switch because, well, now there's no more cash discounting, so I'm going to get a new terminal, I'm going to get a new processor? No. What they're going to do is they're going to stay with the current processor that they have. So all of these merchants that you're losing right now because your competitors are offering cash discounting, when cash discounting is over, what's going to happen is your competitors are going to reach out to the merchant. Hey, we're so sorry to have to inform you of this. Your customers have been paying for the processing, but now there's a new law and they can't do that anymore. And so next month you're going to be charged X. They're going to lose 10, 15% of the people because they're going to go out and do price shopping, and the other 80, 90% of the people they're going to keep. So the crazy thing about this is if I'm talking to you right now and you're like, James, I'm still not about cash discounting as a processor or an ISO, and you're still saying that, your worst case scenario, right, for rolling it out, your worst case scenario is that your profits triple for 2 years, and then you have a whole bunch of merchants that you otherwise wouldn't have received. That's your worst case scenario. So you have to understand that even if cash discounting goes away, those merchants are still going to have a relationship with that processor, and that relationship isn't going to go away. It's just going to be revised. So as an ISO, as an acquirer, as a processor watching this video, listening to this podcast episode, think carefully about your decision not to offer cash discounting, because it is really going to cost you a lot, because you're going to lose a lot of reps that want to do cash discounting. You're going to lose a lot of merchants that want to do cash discounting, and your worst case scenario is when cash discounting goes away, you are going to lose out on a huge opportunity where you could have already received a ton of merchants that are probably going to stay with you anyway because they can't get cash discounting with anyone, so they're going to stay with you for traditional processing. So don't make that mistake. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I've always got my schedule a little bit crazy, but usually I try to put a day aside every week or two just to take random phone calls. So reach out to me, james@ccsalespro.com. Always glad to have a conversation. Thanks so much for taking time to watch this video and listen to the podcast.